Being a consultant is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's awesome to be able to come into a business, see how everything's running, and be that third party that can see the big picture, right? If you've ever been in a situation where you are in the thick of it, it's very hard to have a bird's eye view. And so coming in as a consultant, you don't really have as much skin in the game from a long-term perspective. You're there to solve an issue. And so that's really awesome. The downside is that often you get capped. Often you start to see that you are limited, and it's not by anything other than yourself. And I'm going to share how to break that cap and how to end up making a lot more money as a consultant. If you're just starting out in any type of consultancy, this is a good foundation to build off of. And if you're already helping other businesses, it's a great way to kind of reevaluate what you're doing. So before we get into that, what's up? My name is Dean Soto. I am the founder of prosulum.com, prosulum.com. And we are a virtual staffing agency. And we have our virtual systems architects. So these are real people, usually half the cost of somebody in-house. And you might have heard of a virtual assistant. Well, these guys will take what you do rather than a virtual assistant where you tell them what to do and you get a bunch of questions and it ends up being a babysitting type situation. You give them a task, they document that task, and then they do that task. And every single task you give them turns into a documented process that your entire business can use. And eventually you'll end up automating your entire business, your entire consultancy. That being said, if that sounds good to you, go check out www.prosulum.com. Okay, so this is going to be a relatively short video comparatively to my other videos, but it really does outline the way to build out your consultancy to where you can grow your revenue without growing your stress. So your time is not for sale. This is where a lot of consultants go wrong. One is laying the foundation with your client that this is not about your time. This is about you coming in and solving a particular problem that they have. And to give you an example, one client that I had, and we'll probably talk about this one client as we go through this, they hired me to help them with their financial services, with their coaches that were part of their financial service company. And for them, their coaches were paid based on the amount of clients that they were able to handle and the time that they spent with those clients. Okay. So right away, setting the foundation that I'm here to help your coaches bring on more clients, and I'm not here to do hourly work for you. Okay. If I can triple each one of your coaches, let's say they had 5 coaches, and I can triple the amount of clients that they were able to take on, that meant that their entire revenue base would triple. Okay. So for me, that was very easy to implement, and it didn't take a ton of my time to do that. Okay. So all that being said, laying the foundation in your mind and in your client's mind that you are there to solve an issue. And this is really part of the sales process, really digging deep into their pain and then framing it as, look, if I solve this pain, you're going to make X. Okay. So trading dollars for hours caps your income. Okay. Really, you have 24 hours in a day, but you really don't. You have to eat and sleep. And so you can't really scale yourself if you don't lay that foundation first. And here's the thing is, you have to get it out of your mind and your client's mind that busy does not equal productive. Okay. So more hours that you spend doesn't mean more value. Okay. A lot of consultants will put themselves into a contractual basis where you're getting paid by the hour. The more that you can take it to paid by value that you're bringing, the better. I mean, who wouldn't want, imagine you were in your client's shoes. Would you pay $100,000, even if it took 2 hours of the consultant's time, 2 hours to make an extra $1 million a year, $1 million a quarter? Of course, you're going to find some way to make that happen. Obviously, you'd want the consultant to have some kind of guarantee or something like that, but you'd want that to happen. Okay. Here's how you can tell that you've set yourself up to already hit a wall. You're maxed out on billable hours, so you're billing by the hour in general. You are not able to take on more clients. That can be because of the amount of time that you're spending on one client. That can be that you have a lot of clients and you can't juggle them all. It can mean a variety of things, but it all comes back down to the whole billable hours. Like you're billing by the hour. You're doing things that are going to take you to do stuff. And even if you're not billing by the hour, let's say you are providing value instead, you are not scaling with other people. It is one of the death knells of being a consultant is that you get to keep all the profits if you do it by yourself. And this is where you have to start thinking broader. Even if it's contracting out to other people, you need to be able to start scaling out some of the value that you create. Okay. So when you are selling you and your time and so on, you are the inventory. Okay. And then obviously you have limited inventory because you have limited time, which is going to limit your revenue. So the more that you can leverage time, the more that you can leverage systems and even productize your service, the better. Okay. So there was a time where I was building websites for people, similar to being a consultant, right? And people were paying $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 per website. This is back in the 2010 timeframe. And I knew that if I did it all by myself, even if I was creating a WordPress site, it was limiting my time. And I also did not like the design process. I found that if I were sitting down and going through the design process with clients or prospects, it ate up a crap ton of my time and I just wasn't really good at it. So developing a framework that leveraged both time and a system and almost productized, it ended up almost being a productized service was I'd close a deal and I had a designer friend who was really, really good at the upfront design, not good at the actual website building at all. So I had a designer friend that would sit down with the client, get the entire design done. So what the pages would look like. Then I had a staff virtually that would then cut up the design and do the HTML and all that other stuff, right? And turn it into a WordPress template. And then now the client had a dynamic site that they could use consistently. The amount of time spent actually in doing the work was for me about maybe 2 to 4 hours. The amount given to the designer was probably around $2,000. And then I had my staff that were paid by the hour, and I got to then you have the rest as profit. Okay. So this is how you can start leveraging time, leveraging systems, developing a product as a consultant. Okay. Because it's not too different than that. Okay. So this is where documentation becomes so vital. When you document things, you can then delegate things, and that sets you free because you are able to delegate to contractors. You're able to delegate to your staff. You're able to bring on someone real quick, show them how to do it. Boom, done. Okay. This is how you get started. And it doesn't have to be something elaborate. This is why with Prosulum, we're all about doing 5-minute videos with your virtual systems architect. Do a 5-minute video. And this can be with somebody that you hired. It doesn't matter if it's a VSA or if it's somebody else. Do a video. Tell them to document it, what they see. And then you never have to do it again. Because now, let's say you have a client onboarding as a consultant. You document how you onboard your clients. Now you go and you have your virtual systems architect or somebody else, executive assistant or whatever, do the entire onboarding process for you the next time. That's it. But because they documented it step by step, now you're able to then hand that off. Or if you have your secret sauce of how to get more, how to analyze a business so that you don't have to do the actual analysis of what's going on in the business through your consultancy and so on. Document it, boom, 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 and then the report is generated, and now the client can see what's going on. So when I would be hired as a consultant, I'd have them pay me $5,000 at the time to do a comprehensive analysis, which took a lot of time so that you can see what was actually going on in the business, surveying all the client staff, all the different things, and then finding what the main issues were that were keeping them from breaking the ceiling of their revenue or increasing profit margin, so on and so forth. That comprehensive analysis, I would do all the things that I would normally do, and then I'd hand it off to my staff because it was all documented how to analyze those things. Then at the very end, I would get a report that looks similar to like this, but with different visualizations and things like that, showing exactly what was up with the person's business. They could decide to handle it themselves, or they could decide to hire me to handle it for them. Often they would pay me $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month to handle it for them. 3 months later, they would have a business that was making a crap ton more money. Okay. So this is how you do it. Record it, have somebody document it, and then you never have to do it again. Obviously, you can't do everything, but at least the things that you can hand off and you'll never have to do, the more time that you can get off your plate and tasks you can get off your plate, the more time that you can spend increasing your revenue. Okay. So documenting is, you're capturing it and then you're replicating yourself having them do it your way. This is why I like doing the videos, because you can explain, why do you do this? Why do I do this? Why do I do that? And then that allows you to scale and multiply your output without multiplying your hours. Okay. So this is why you want to sell the system. You want to sell the value. Okay. No time-based pricing, no billable hours. Okay. You want to be able to almost productize your expertise. Okay. The fixed pricing, 15, I used to do 10, 15, or 20,000, depending on what it was. It was a tiered system. We're done in 90 days. And at the end, you will see this value. It didn't matter if we spent 1 hour on it. It didn't matter if we spent 10 hours on it, 30 hours, 100, 200 hours. They would see the value, we would get paid. Okay. They would see tremendous amount of value. So if they spent $60,000 with us, they would end up making hundreds of thousands of dollars extra per year, sometimes even per month. Okay. So this is what you want to get to be able to productize, create a system based around what you do that you can have other people help you with. That's why documentation is so important. Okay. Because if you don't document checklists step by step, you're going to end up micromanaging. Okay. You are going to end up not having the ability to, let's say you hand off something, that person gets sick. Now you can hand it off to somebody else. Otherwise, you're training. We don't want training. Okay. Training is not a good thing. Okay. The more you have to train, that means the less documentation you actually have. Okay. If it's not documented, you're going to have to explain it again and again and again. Even if somebody's an expert at what they do in your business, if they're sick or they leave or whatever, now you have to explain it to this person. And you cannot start building a management team without that type of documentation. So start tracking what you do. Start thinking about what you actually do. What is the process of what you do as a consultant? How do you onboard? How do you do the comprehensive analysis? How do you, once you analyze the business, how do you report what you see? How do you then start servicing the business? And what are the aspects of that? How do you close out? How do you track the metrics of what value actually brought? Okay. So you track what you do and then you document how you do it. And then you end up training, quote unquote, somebody else to do it, but it's really through the documentation. And then you move to higher value work. Okay. This is why if you do it this way, this 5-minute video style, you have somebody else do it for you, document for you, 30 tasks in 30 days. Those are tasks you never ever have to do again. And you can build a consultancy that you spend the perfect amount of hours for you to do exactly what only you can do. And this is why systems plus outsourcing equals freedom. This is why we created our virtual systems architects to be able to do this. They're already trained to do this type of stuff, but you can do this with anybody. Okay. Systems make you replaceable, which is good. You don't want to be irreplaceable. You want to be able to do whatever you want and know things are going to get done. And this allows you to multiply your capacity. And you do only what you are good at. So if that's an hour's worth of work for that month and you get paid $50,000 for that month because that 1 hour was multiplied by all of the different people and all of the different amount of value you were able to give your client, they were able to make $500,000 because of your 1 hour that cost them $50,000, then so be it. Okay? So be it. So I wanted to quickly go through this because consulting is near and dear to my heart, but it's really simple. And so if you're tired of trading your time for money and you want the easy button, you can go to www.prosolume.com. www.prosolume.com/schedule if you want to talk with us and get a virtual systems architect and build and create a consultancy that grows with you fast. But really, I mean, there's not much more to say. There's a really good book out there called $1 Million Consulting. I want to say it's Weiss is his last name. Really, really good book on the front end of how to make more money selling your consultancy. But really, when the way that you make your clients happy, the way that you make your staff happy, the way that you make yourself happy is by documenting everything you're doing that can be offloaded and then moving only into those areas where you provide a ton of value. And then your consultancy grows because your clients are seeing results. They're seeing results right away. So if that sounds good, go check out prosulum.com and schedule a free discovery call. And I will see you in the next video.